So now I'm going to share again because now, stop share. I'm going to share. Come on, please share. I'm going to share my After Effects because now we're going to add another composition. So now we're going to add the motion sketch. So sometimes, so go to composition, new composition, and we're going to call this one your last name, first initial, and then you want to call it motion. And you want to have motion sketch and dancing text in the same comp, because I've done it that way. Let's just say dancing. So motion dancing. So composition should be motion dancing, 5 seconds, and say okay. So this one's fairly simple. It shouldn't take long to do this one at all. What we're going to do is we're going to draw a ball. So we don't have any layers. If you have an existing layer, when you choose a shape tool or use your pen tool, you have to decide, if you have existing layers, whether you want to have a shape on its own layer, in which case you want to make sure no layer is selected, or if you want to have a mask or a path on an existing layer. In that case, you must have that layer selected. So it's either going to draw something that actually exists, or it's going to just make a path or a mask, depending on what you have in the open file. And this is why you must always be very aware as you're working with anything to do with shapes or drawing with your pen tool. You have to be very aware of what you have selected in your timeline. Because if you have a layer selected, it's going to make it into a mask. If you don't have a layer selected, it will put a shape there. And you can see that both of those are important things. And sometimes you'll want one and not the other. You have to make sure that you are doing the one you want. So right now we're going to come up to the shape tools and we're going to select an ellipse. We're going to make sure that the color for the fill is red, but there is no stroke. We're going to make a small circle, not big, but small. And to start it drawing in the center, you hold Command, and just to make it round, you hold Shift. And then you draw, but nothing happened. Why? I don't know. Why did nothing happen? I'm going to make sure that I've got my timeline. Maybe I should click first. Yes, click first and then hold Command and Shift. Every single one of these programs works differently. Okay, now I'm going to make sure I don't do that. Okay, so let go of your button on your mouse first and then let go of your selection tools or whatever those things are called, the things that make things happen. So here's your circle. This is a ball. We're going to get our selection tool, which is the arrow. So come up and get your selection tool. There is something called motion sketch. It is a window that you can select, and it applies a particular effect. And the effect is called motion sketch. It's going to capture your motions as you draw them, okay? It will take real time. So while you are drawing, you can watch in the timeline and see as it counts off the seconds and as it moves across. It does it in real time. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this circle and move it around 4 or 5 seconds. So first I go to Window, and I'm going to choose Motion Sketch. It's just smack dab in the middle. It opens up the window over here, motion sketch. Now we want to make sure that we have some kind of smoothing, because if we don't, it's going to create a new keyframe for every frame, and that will become very, very, well, it's unnecessary. It will just take up a lot of space and memory, and it will keep the motion from being smooth. So I'm going to change the smoothing number to 20%. Capture speed at 100, smoothing to 20. Okay. It's going to show a wireframe. And you can see it says start 0, duration 5 seconds. And the next thing is a button that says start capture. When you click this, it's going to start counting as soon as you grab the ball. So I'm going to start my capture. I'm going to grab the ball. I'm going to bounce it around, and I'm going to watch my timeline. So this is where we go. 1, 2, 3, click. There you go, 5 seconds, and you can see it did not make a lot of keyframes. But when I press the space bar, it moves around. When I was moving quickly, it moves quickly. When I was moving slowly, it moves slowly. So that is motion sketch. So Command Save. And I'm going to lock this layer by clicking in the little box underneath the padlock in the timeline. So that's done. Now we're going to do dancing text. I'm going to Command S to make sure that's saved. And I'm going to make sure that I get the text workspace. So now I'm going to go to Window, Workspace. I'm going to go down to Text, and I've got it set to text, so this is good. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going to reset text to saved layout. Okay, because I don't need the motion sketch open anymore, and I don't want to waste my space. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to type the phrase dancing text. So I'm going to select my type tool, and I'm going to, actually no, let's not select the type tool. Let's leave it with the selection tool. Here's another way to add a layer of text. Let's go to Window, no, I'm trying to think what layer, go to Layer, and with my, you have to have your timeline selected or it doesn't do it, but go to Layer, New, and we want a new text layer. And it puts the insertion point right in the middle because I still have the paragraph centered. I'm going to type the word dancing, if I can type, text. Now this is really big, and I don't want it to be really big. I want it to be smaller. So I'm going to select this text, and I'm going to make it smaller. So I'm going to go down to about 60 point. And I want to make sure that it is bold and white fill, and I'm going to turn off this stroke. There we go. So there's no stroke. I'm going to save this because this so far is what I want. But now I'm going to go ahead and select the pen tool. Now you can get the pen tool also by pressing the letter G. And I'm going to draw with just a few points. I'm going to draw a path for my dancing text. Okay, so my dancing text is going to start up near the upper left corner. I'm going to have it come over a little bit and curve. So I'll drag, and I'll come here and curve. I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to come here. And you don't want it to have too many points, but you want to make sure that you end up somewhere near the bottom, okay? So that looks like a pretty good path. I'm going to come in and just adjust some of the points a little bit so that the text has enough room to be actually moving around comfortably. because I'm going to make the path of the text follow the path. So this is very similar to what we did with the curve, with the spiral, but now we're going to actually do it with this line that we just drew. So text, path options, and we want to make it follow mask 1. Okay, and we want it to start, once again, we want to start with the first margin, and we want to make the paragraph align to the left, so it starts at the top. Because when you have it aligned to the left, it goes to the farthest to the left it can be. And that's the first margin. And now I'm going to keyframe my first margin. And I'm going to drag all the way to just within a few. Let's go up to not quite the end, because we want it to stop before the actual end. So go to frame 415. And here's where we will make it go to the end. So either you can just click on the right justify, which is very fast, or you can go ahead and you can say, I think it's like probably over 1,500. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be like almost 3,000. I'm going to drag it all the way to the end and then just make it stop. And here I think I want to make this curve a little bit wider. It looks like it gets kind of very uncomfortable here. Okay, so now let's see what that looks like. And that looks pretty interesting. So that's another thing that you can do, Command Save. And I'm going to stop sharing and check back to see how everyone's doing. Okay, so Devin says that he's still waiting for the programs to download. Luckily, there are some actual videos that I have loaded that are on Canvas that follow these steps to go through these particular tutorials. So you'll be able to do them when we're not actually having the lecture. So, and you can go back and check on things. If there's something that you really need to do again, there it is. You can go right to it, okay? And the directions are there and the tutorial. So it goes through all the steps.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do you change, because mine right now I have like a rectangle, but how do you change it to a circle?
Okay, so when you're using the shape tools, you can go through each different shape tool. And I'm going to go back so I can show you. So let's share again. So here we go. So when you go up to the shape tools, you can click in the little triangle at the bottom corner. And then you can see that all of the choices are here. Now, if it's in the rectangle and you click in the little bottom corner, you should be able to select anything you want. Also, another thing you can do is if you press, you can see it says there's a shortcut called Q. If you press Q until it changes to the one you want. So that's the other thing you can do. You can press Q and you can go through each different type of tool. Does that help?
Yes, I think pressing Q is easier.
Yes, it's a lot easier, especially if you have very, very, very fine resolution and a very, very, very small screen, because it looks like the triangle in the corner to me looks like a dot, but I know it's there. So it's something that is there, but yes, if you just press that letter over and over, it goes through each of the different options. Okay, so now that we've got that done, I'm going to Command Save again because I never trust it. I've gotten to that point. Make sure you have the timeline selected. Make sure that you have your selection tool selected. And now let's make the text look more interesting. So we're going to go to dancing text. And here under the text, you see, if you fly this down one step at a time, under text, this is where we were working, but you still also have the animators still. So we're going to add an animator. We want to click to the triangle, click on the triangle to the right of the animate to reveal the available properties. We're going to choose scale. So this time we're going to add an animator for scale. So down here you see it says animator 1, range selector, scale. So this is what we want to do. We want to click on the caret next to range selector so you can see them. And you want to say, I want to click on the start. For scale, I want to change the scale and I want to change it so that it is taller but not wider. So I'm going to click on the chain next to scale so that it is not constrained in proportions. I'm going to change the scale, the Y, to 200. Okay? So 200%. So now we want to actually keyframe end as well. So I'm going to click on the stopwatch for end. Sometimes you want to change them both. What I want to do is I want to focus on each letter at a time, okay? So we can do this, and actually we can do it more easily if we go down under advanced, and instead of units percentage, let's change it to units index. And that means it's going to count each letter. So now you see that the number next to end is 12. There are 12 letters there. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the space is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And it always does things like this to me. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to focus on each letter one at a time. So I'm going to change the number here for end to 1. Now I'm going to go to the same place where we had the word stop moving. And at this point, I want the end to be 12 because we know there's 12 characters altogether. But I want the number next to start to be 11. And now each letter moves individually. And then you can even take your CTI.
Sorry.
Yes.
I have a question. How did you get there? I don't know where you got the animation. I think it's how to say animator 1. How did you get that? I was trying to fix my path.
Okay. Okay. I'll go over it again after I do this next step. Okay. So
Okay.
this one thing I want to do here is I want to say for the space after this, I want it to go to 12 for the first start as well, so that it's all back down to the normal size. And I'm going to save that. Okay, now let's do it again with a different line of type. So I'm going to lock this one, and I'm going to add, turn this off. And I'm going to add another line of type. So I'll go up to layer, new, text, and I'm going to type, let's see, another line. Okay, so we've got another line here. We're back on 0, and I'm going to draw just a path real quick. Okay, so now I wanted to follow my path. And once again, we go to the path options and we say we want it to follow the path. And there it is. And since we already had changed it to be aligned to the left there, it's all aligned. Now, I want to add an animator. So here's the another line and then the word text. Now, if you keep going over to the right, there's the word animate. I'm going to click on here, and here I just go to the word scale. Okay. And now under scale, I'm going to turn off the chain, and I'm going to go to advanced, and I'm going to change it to based on units index. And once again, it also has 12 letters in it. What are the odds? And I'm going to keyframe both the start and the end. And I'm going to change end to 1. And I'm going, oh, I forgot to change the size. So scale, go down to the scale. And you have to make sure that you remember to change the size of Y to 200 so that now you've got A is taller. So scale is unlinked, and change the size to 200 for the Y, and that's all you need to do. And then we want to make sure that we change the first margin. So first margin, we want to keyframe the first margin, which I forgot to do, first margin, and then go down to the end and make it go to the end. And here we want to go ahead and say, I want to change the start to 11 and the end to 12. So once again, and I'll go a little bit further and I'll change them both to 12 so that they go back to normal. Once again, we've got it moving and changing size at the same time. Now, like I say, there is a video that shows you how to do this. So if you need to do it again, go to Canvas and find the video, and it goes through it. I think it goes through it using % instead of index. Index is easier, as I found out over the years, but you can do it either way. Okay, so did that work out? I hope that worked. I'm going to go back to here. So now for dancing text, the next step we're going to do is we're going to add animators to, or add some properties to the same animator. So I'm going to add a property. I'm going to add a property of fill color, and fill color automatically goes to red. Since our ball is red, I think we should choose a different color. So I'm going to click on the box that has the red fill color, and I'm going to change the color to something else. And let's see what I usually tell people to do for this one. Let's choose a yellow, I say. So yellow sounds like a good color. Nice bright yellow. So now it will stand out against everything. And then if you Command S, go back to the beginning and press your space bar. Now you've got one letter only that is changing size, and it becomes a bright color. So make sure you've got everything saved. And we won't output that this time. We will work on outputting that after we have done some other tutorials. But I just thought we should go through those today. Next time we will do timing.